One of the greatest gifts that writing excuses has given me over the years is the understanding that editing should be viewed as a luxury. The ability to make changes after the whole first draft is complete is an incredibly powerful tool for not just eliminating errors, but for vastly enhancing the quality and emotional impact of a story, and can even make your actual writing in the first place more efficient. Here I summarize my favorite tips from writing excuses to explain how to make your editing this effective. The first thing to understand is that the editing process needs to happen at the end of the first draft, whether or not you've been going back and editing throughout the whole process. When you've completed a manuscript with beginning, middle, and end, only then can you assess if the ideas, character arcs, foreshadowing, plot structure, etc. have worked. So let this fact rest in the back of your mind when you're writing, and use it as a license to just get your words written, knowing that large swaths of what you put in will need to be trimmed and whole new sections added. Don't get hung up on that perfect first sentence, chapter, or scene, and don't get trapped at that 3/4 hump where you're realizing that all these things should have happened earlier. Just keep on pushing through, get that ending down on paper, make little notes of the things you're realizing, and promise yourself that you'll address them when you finish. By the time you're wrapping up your conclusion, you should be racing to the finish line, desperate to get to that glorious post-completion editing phase. So congratulations for making it here to the end of your awesome and problem-laden story. The first step is triage editing. It's time to look at your manuscript as a whole and determine what's broken and just how bad it is. You need to deal with the biggest problems first, and this comes in the form of A, what needs to be added, B, what needs to be cut out, and C, what needs to change. Pour through your story, play with it, move your characters around, change them, remove them, add new ones if need be, but have fun and work at it until you feel it start to click. This is where you make sure that your plot structure enhances your story, that the pacing feels right, and all your promises have been fulfilled. Now the patient has been saved. Take a little cool down time before moving on to the next step. Give yourself freshest eyes when you're looking at it next, and take this opportunity to send it to some trusted beta readers to get their opinions and feedback. When that's all dealt with, it's time to move on to the shotgun step. Here, you take your whole manuscript and you read through it all, noting down every little thing that needs adjusting or fixing. And then when you've got the whole list from beginning to end, including all those points you noted while writing, go about fixing one after the other, once again in order of biggest to smallest. During this phase, there are a number of things you can do to help identify problems. Try highlighting different characters with specific colors to visualize who's taking up what proportion of the story and make sure it's balanced the way you want it to be. Highlight the 5 senses in your descriptions with 5 distinct colors and add one for motion. Make sure you're using a good balance of all 6. Follow each character individually throughout the story and assess their story arc for consistency and distinctiveness in their voice, physical attributes, and actions. Identify the boring parts, and assuming they're important to the story at this stage, make them interesting by switching to the viewpoint of a character with a more interesting perspective, changing which emotion is dominating the scene, or the type of conflict present. And now, when all these changes have been implemented, it's time for wordsmithing. Line-by-line editing to cut down on passive voice, trim out excessive words, remove any mixed metaphors, and really just give that final polish to your now magnificent piece of art.